Hey, if you've seen this film, you know what the butterfly symbolizes, but you may have never put it together before, so now you have. I absolutely love this opening long take. The slow camera movements past each cop all staring in the same direction, originally completely silent, and then only the thuds of a beatdown in the echoey distance, all ending on a super crime fighter being tossed into their super crime fighter's sign. And as what's implicitly a long setup scene for the Axe Gang, I love that we open on a rando and we're immediately shown how powerful and scary the Crocodile Gang is to the cops. Okay, so in the English dub, which varies wildly from the English translations in the original Chinese audio, he says,
"What are you staring at? You want the address of my tailor?"
And while I think it's an equally good diss, it's also a hint that Pigsty Alley is crocodile territory. That's a very similar dress, meaning hers could definitely have been made by the master tailor. Again, I'm not going to harp on the English versus Chinese differences, but in the dub he says,
"With assets like yours, the movie theaters wouldn't be deserted."
And it's just an example of how languages are different, you know? The second she asks where the car is, you can hear the marching of the Axe Gang off in the distance. And now we get our flip from the scariest gangster we could imagine being terrified and trying to get inside. And the way they all just appear. It's a repeated motif, but it's so perfect and funny while also terrifying at the same time. Wow, so it's just gonna be every scene? You're just gonna win every scene in this movie? Guess so. He probably didn't need to lie down, but he did, and it makes that clean leg chop feel earned. And this is why it's called Kung Fu Hustle. Actually, I have no idea. It was originally called Kung Fu, but I think there was just too many properties with that name in America already. Either way, prepare for dancing. And also brutality. Chivalry. Oh, never mind. Remember what I said about it being brutal in the last win? And it's also filled to the brim with show don't tell. All through visuals we learn the Crocodile Gang is scary, but nothing compared to the Axe Gang in size, ruthlessness, or influence. And then we see the inspector counting his money, meaning the Axe Gang paid him for the information so they could wipe out the Croc Gang. Fun fact, the Axe Gang dance wasn't originally planned, but Danny Chen is a dancer, and so Stephen Chow, lead actor, writer, and director by the way, decided it would be fun. And it is! It's such a pivotal part of what makes them even more unsettling. And now for a complete tone shift from the Axe Gang's, I don't know, like dark swing. It's like black ska. I'm bad at this, but you could hear it. There are loud horns and bassy drums, and it's almost tongue-in-cheek for the brutal murder on screen. And then we cut to very traditional Chinese swordplay film music as if we were in an entirely different universe. Then we get right into introducing our Kung Fu masters who are pretending to be regular Joes, so much so that the first one is called what I believe is a slur for unskilled laborer. But he is the most obvious hero in hiding, showing off his strength and agility. But then the tailor is first shown behind his rings, now converted to hangers for his business. Same for the baker, he uses a staff to roll out dough, but the angle it's shot from makes you wonder if there's something more to it. I love this movie. Is that not clear? Also, someone did not skip leg day. And the man who played a huge part in making sure this video happened, the landlord, or this guy from Shang-Chi. He is, however, at least in the beginning, the hardest to love. Don't worry, we'll get there. Most convincing escape ever. A+, print it, no notes. So even if you were super on top of your game and you predicted the three main Kung Fu masters, we're given hints about the landlady too, but they're much easier to miss. Her Roadrunner speed is the first hint, but just like her husband, her main character trait plays right into her Kung Fu style and power. I'm not ashamed to admit it was a huge surprise to me when she finally reveals herself. It seems fair. Landlords, am I right? They exist. Also, Chow did an amazing bait and switch, making the Kung Fu masters all meek and polite, even pretending to be cowardly, while allowing the landlady to be brash and violent even. You'd assume the Kung Fu masters would all blend in one way, which, together with her nightgown and curlers, makes us completely dismiss the landlady. Both the English and Chinese versions of the script land here. His fast pivot to defensive-ness is pitch perfect.
Did you see anyone? What? Don't point at me! You have no proof! Empty, baseless accusations!
I love the thump the plant makes. And everyone goes back to their day since it's a usual occurrence. I guess Chow had some mixed feelings about Shaolin soccer? And a little more misdirection, Chow has been connecting skill in any field with hidden Kung Fu skill, but Zheng Bao is just a really good barber. The comedic timing here is fantastic. The way he seamlessly slides into a more acceptable shakedown with each rejection while still trying to play up how dangerous Bone is. Ah, comrade, I mean camaraderie. One set of dialogue that's exactly the same in English and Chinese, and it's a perfect showcase of how little fear the landlady has. He's not even that upset. Just curious how he got there with a broken back. You've heard of planking? Well, this is planting. Well, now that's a fun split diopter shot. Look, at this point, if you haven't seen this movie, you're probably thinking, Lee, what the crap, man? This movie is just a brutal vision of bullies bullying poor people and doing heinous things. Everyone sucks, even the apparent protagonist is a douche. Are we really about to watch a mother watch her 2 kids be burnt alive? And you're not wrong, it's been over 20 minutes and there are no heroes so far. So, prepare yourself for this catch. He was the one you knew for sure knew Kung Fu and it's about to pay off. It will not disappoint. It's also now that we start to feel Chow's love for Bruce Lee. And our first amazing reveal. He's pretty meek and giggly, which is not the usual picture of a wuxia hero, so it's a really fun expectations subversion. Point is, Kung Fu masters come in all shapes and personalities. And the sound design, so on point. And now for our second surprise, arguably the most fun to watch with constant slow-mo making each bow staff hit that much more poignant. Also love how Chow switches from attacks being slow-mo to the goon landings being slow-mo and the attacks in real time. That's drug abuse. Hey, saving your buddy who you got into this mess in the first place. Ah, he got you. All together now. Expectation subversion. I guess that's ambitious. Definitely frugal. I mean, the leaves moving could be coincidence, but we know he's got the power, so I'm sticking with it being Buddhist palm shadowing. That's how you get Darth Vaders. Do you want Darth Vaders? This scene perfectly illustrates the masterful clash of tones. Twinkly piano in the background because we're just coming off the flashback where it's used, but more importantly because Fong is the little girl he stood up for. They're being their typical bully selves, which makes the audience feel icky on multiple emotional levels, and Sing ends the scene with an insane maniacal laugh while ice cream drips out of his mouth and you can't help but chuckle a little. Same, Taylor. Same. And what's wrong with spicy undies? Sometimes you just feeling yourself. Love the hug. Support from a neighbor. Whoa, going for the throat. Plus, rabbits have big teeth. Hers are small. Honestly, been there. Knife throwing is an art. And despite popular belief, like most art, it's not better with alcohol. Every time. It gets me every time. He's so sincere in his effort. It's times like these that I feel like I'm probably missing the full comedy of this scene because I don't speak Mandarin and Cantonese, but even without that, the way he delivers these lines has me rolling. Just when you think it's over. Coyote could never. Well, that's some resourcefulness. They're gleaming the cube, bruh. Gross, but amazing, but gross. More Buddhist palm shadowing, but also tricky because it could be just a goofy, haha, he's got to get the venom out somehow, haha moment, nothing more. Look at that, only the non-Kung Fu masters are plucking their ears from the bell toll. Not a lot of wiggle room there. And there's some fun truth in that since Donut and the Tailor have been doing this for a while. Especially the Tailor, who was 61 in this movie and has been doing Hong Kong movies since the 70s. No one would expect him unless you're already a fan. And honor among thieves, or evil Kung Fu killers, I guess. Love it. This moment turns from sentimental to a solid sparring scene where they really test each other. Another perfect illustration of why we love this movie. Never let them know your next move. No, I said move. Your next move. Stupid subtitles. Kung Fu Hustle 2? Great oneer that sets up what should be a peaceful evening, but we know that it's actually building up the tension. Oh, Busker, huh? All right. Well, see you later. He did not save the cat. We all know a dead cat bounce is the worst. Stonks, am I right? Man, this scene is something else. The silence and slow motion of the sword slicing each object as the harpist zeroes in his targeting. And the almost tasteful beheading that's a tad heartbreaking, but if that one hurt, you might be upset by morning. Zhao Juling's voice is so smooth and pleasing to my ears. eat your heart out. Shang-Chi's dad, crap, what was his name? Nope, never fight someone with long nails, just dip right out. I feel bad for enjoying the sword-filled score, but what can I say? I'm a Gujung guy now. Well, now this seems like cheating. Wenwu was his name. Ghost Fist! Ah, dang, sorry, Taylor, I mean Ghost Fists. Saving your Kung Fu Ren, eh? Kung Fu Ren, you get it? You get it? Next, you're all gonna tell me that Lurtz really threw the swords and Vigo had to really deflect them. This was just an excuse to say, holy crap, he's still my favorite. And you know me, this music is immaculate, but they upped its feels by having the action in sync. As the tempo picks up, so does Donut's deflecting pace. I love that she keeps coming out because she knows she shouldn't but wants to get involved so badly. Best response ever. She just casually catches the axe, another hint that maybe she's not just comic relief, but then she lands a classic punchline. Also, she says in the dub, and even that's a tight callback. Nightmare material, and I love it. Is he a huge creep? Yes. Does he exploit every possible advantage of his position? Of course. Does it sort of play into his kung fu style? Also, yes. Yes, it does. He's slippery and slimy, and he's that drunk from your hometown that was always around, and no matter what happened, things just seem to always go his way, as if cosmic interference could be the only explanation. And I love that he doesn't come off as classically good at kung fu. Like, he looks like he'd be a slouch, and then he still sort of fights like one, but his gimmick causes so much damage it makes him super powerful. Look, I know the temptation is there to watch the dub. I actually recommend both, just dub second. And you'll still get these amazing facial acting moments, but you'll miss the emotion and line delivery. Yuan Cho's performance might be my favorite in this movie, because she goes from over-the-top goofy to so genuine and sincere that it's like we're seeing behind the mask of the character, and it's almost unnerving. Ghost pirates, sorry, Vigo's buddies. Also, this seems like cheating. Oh, they get in there every time. The look on everyone's face. Perfect cover, she's buying it. One-handed knuckle-cracking skills. Again, the cartoon elements of this movie make it so unique. I know Deadpool has made the R-rated world more cartoonish these days, but this is legitimately Looney Tunes, childish slapstick mixed with violent fight scenes. Pure art. I think the landlord probably is a philanderer. If it wasn't clear, this performance of Jane's ends with him having a huge lipstick kiss on his cheek. By the way the landlady just stares at his cheek. But to see that they actually share a love deeper than we could have imagined, fortified by the loss of their child, gets me. Even his sound effects aren't quite right. It's not a little muffled. And even knowing it's coming, it's perfect. Got him with the Ben quote. Or does it belong to someone else now? Check out my Spidey video on Nebula and I'll answer that question. Now the Untouchables? This man is just laying down the movie references on his way out. Why? And there's something wonderful about a man emotionally yelling donut. I love this movie. After those snake bites he survived, I'm not surprised he thought he'd have snake powers. But yeah, comeuppance. Okay, so a bit of a stretch, but he thinks he's threatening her, but she knows deep down that he'd never hurt her, so she's experiencing this like the poster for Top Hat. Right in the feels. Kung Fu masters pretending to suck at Kung Fu is always a good time. What a polite way of putting it. Look, the blood river from the elevator door in The Shining has been investigated and written about in dissertations. Literally. But this one is pretty clear. If he opens the door, blood will flow because the beast is a bad dude. Done. Easy peasy. Analyze squeezy. It's the Boy Scout salute since he had to sneak past Boy Scouts. Flirting? Did not see that coming the first time. I mean, I didn't think he was really gonna shoot himself, but catching it with 2 fingers? Impressive way to establish your dominance without even throwing a punch. Okay, one more language is a fun win. In the dub, she calls herself
and the Dragon's Daughter,
which I guess would sound scary and foreign to the American audience, but Helen of Troy for the Chinese audience. Both are funny and scary to me. Aw, it's kind of sweet. Kinda. Amazing shots that almost made me miss the fit on these two. Look at the fit. Best set piece of Kung Fu that's not actually Kung Fu, but stylized Kung Fu. A showcase of both of their skill sets with the landlord in slow-mo and the beast sped up. You know, she should really consider quitting the cigs. Unless she needs that nicotine kick right before her lion's roar. No, don't smoke, kids. No! No, not the shirt. It was so, actually the one sleeve look is kind of tight. Now that's some helpfulness. We're now repeating the phrasing of the opening scene, and it's what makes the finale so insanely fulfilling. The Harpists murdered all three masters, and then the landlady and landlord ended the fight with them fairly easily, and they literally ran away crying. Power established. Now the Beast is winning every single interchange with the landlord and landlady, making them look like children fighting an adult. Also, it's filled with all these really fun visual elements that exaggerate even the already exaggerated wuxia films it's parodying. Flying? Try wood twisting. I love how it's sort of confusing at first what she's planning to do. Taking hits from the Beast just to slap the bell seems like a mistake until you see the first crack, and then it clicks. And here, people pay through the nose for a lift, and all they have to do is learn the lion's roar. Anyone get Ghostwalker vibes from these flower things? Altered carbon? Not relevant anymore. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's a quick reaction time. The Beast was right.
天下武功，無堅不破。
你搞到我好亂啦！
Surprisingly brutal. Was that the Matrix horn motif for the baddie?
沙煲咁大個。
Even more flirting. Confused by the physics, but rule of cool applies.
點解要搏我？
This brings up an interesting thought for me. If you remember, the Beast said that he never left his cell because there were no worthy opponents, and after beating the couple, at least in traditional kung fu, it's clear that that's the case. But also, he was already aware of them as masters. I think he finally decided to leave because of who opened his cell door. As the youngest of three brothers, this moment is very relatable. We're gonna poke the bear every dang time.
咁就俾佢哋走得啦！
Ooh, brutal yet comical comeuppance. And now, on closer inspection of the metal, it's clear that it wasn't just a joke and they aren't just handprints. Aha, now you get the butterfly.
傷咗唔好食煙啦！
I love that Singh is kept off screen for this moment like he's an angel taking care of these warriors. The old Silence of the Lambs trickaroo.
佢就萬中無一嘅絕世高手。
Okay, last English comparison. Promises. It's almost as if they felt like they needed to spell it out more with the dub.
That he may be the greatest kung fu genius to ever come along.
The one is obviously very Neo, but it's implied that he's the Kung Fu one if you're paying attention. And his entire face and overall appearance has changed. He's clean and freshly shaven. His features are almost softer and warmer. What a moment. But the homages to Neo have just begun. He's Peter Parker dodging Flash's punch, just reveling in his new ability that proves that the Beast was correct about speed being the most important part of Kung Fu. And even the lightest touch from him cracks concrete now. And finally, his first hits are so gorgeous, so fluid, so fast, gets me hyped every time. It looks the way it feels when your toes get smushed.
細路仔打交先至會啫。
Yeah, well, he's like a newborn Kung Fu master, so he's gonna try out all the fun stuff. I'm also a huge fan of this moment because we saw Leg Day go up against a bunch of goons like this and eventually need some help. This is child's play for Singh. It's like it's the moment he's been waiting for all his life.
如果我哋嘅仔唔死，都有佢咁大個。
若果佢能夠好好地咁讀書，
You should adopt him, or maybe he's already yours? I was always a tad unclear on this. Singh mentioned the doctor-lawyer thing as well, and it's entirely possible that they thought he died. Bone says,
咁你鑊手傷都硬係冇嘢嘅。
so this isn't the first time he's come back from near death. Also, you know the whole chocobo breeding thing. You can't get a gold chocobo without a black chocobo and a wonderful yellow chocobo.
不過睇佢款都係做武師多。
Hey-o, inside baseball joke there. That guy went through the doors. Oh, they're all going through the doors now. I love that after the hyper-stylized, cartoony fight, the music drops out and we get this very real moment of him mowing down goons in close quarters. And again, we saw the Beast go super speedy, and here's Singh upping the ante. Also love the blast beats. He didn't even let him finish his thought. And surprising the Beast is one of the best things he does. First with this punch, and then 3 kicks to the neck, each time getting the Beast a little bit lower until he's finally on his knees, right where he ultimately ends up. Not gonna lie, this was a bit of a surprise. Should have seen it coming though. What else was he doing all those years in prison chilling with these boys?
居然係昆崙派嘅下武功。
今次弊啦。
That, oh no. But they're only worried because they don't know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning. Some of the CGI is a little wonky, but the wire work, particularly Chow's wire work, absolutely superb. Ah, I get it. Chow just needed to unlock his chi to really embrace Shaolin soccer. Yup. Yeah, yup. You gotta love that this is actually a thing. And like, I could go further and just believe that the beggar was nothing more than a swindler taking advantage of a kid, but since Sing has the Kung Fu genius gift, he just made it his own thing. Stephen Chow's workout routine. Off it goes to land in the hands of a child who will then kill people with it. Still time for a wave. Politeness. Look, cute gesture, no doubt, but aren't you cutting into her business here? You better have put her name on the lease, articles of organization, and the resale license. Bones back! No way that wasn't in camera. I feel like I can just barely see the kid standing up. Love a practical effect. This score, her smile, what closure. I love this movie. Yeah, see, I'm right about stuff. You might have figured it out by now, but I love this movie. Kung Fu Hustle is one of those films I wish I could watch again for the first time. It's one of my comfort movies, if you know what those are. I go to it when I need to feel something because it always works. I laugh, I cry, I start punching metal things, all the good stuff. It's a love letter to the wuxia films that came before while still making something new. It's obviously filled with references to other movies, but still tells a complete and unique story with an aesthetic all its own. It's true of lots of non-American media that the English dubbed version and the English subtitles for the original language version can be very different.
When I first saw you, I knew you to be a courageous man of many talents.
And in Kung Fu Hustle, it often changes the meaning of the scene. And there are a handful of moments that, I don't know if it's a cultural difference or maybe a lack of understanding about the impact of some English slurs. I'm not sure what the deal is with the tailor. I think it's great that he's gay, but he's written like an over-the-top parody of a stereotype at times. Either way, I like that he's not the typical picture of a wuxia hero. I think I covered most of the thematic stuff in the video. It's not exactly subtle. Redemption and rebirth, fighting for what's right, second chances. Similar themes show up in other Kung Fu movies. I think my favorite part are the differences in the characteristics of the Kung Fu masters. The reluctance that the fated lovers have to join in. This world where everyone is oppressed by gang violence and even the best of the best know that they can't stop it alone. But even that isn't enough to stop heroes from rising. There are some rough moments of sadness, but overall it's still a truly feel-good movie. And I'm always impressed when directors also write, but multiply my awe by 10 when they also star. Stephen Chow really checked all the boxes. And now they're doing a sequel? I had absolutely no idea it was happening until I started writing for this movie this week, so that's pretty exciting. If there was one wonky part of the whole movie, it's the CGI. It doesn't take anything away from the enjoyment of the movie, but I bet there's a good chance they could correct that for the sequel. Either way, I'm stoked for it. I love this movie. Next week, no new video, but the week after, that one that was supposed to be last week but ran long because it's a long movie and I ended up liking it more than I expected. Yes,